Hi folks, my name is Tony Davis. I'm here to share a quick tutorial on how to colorize an old black and white photo. This is a photo that I shot, over 40 years ago down in Louisiana. For this photo I had shot a track and field event using a 35mm Canon f1. The lens was a Tokina 35-105 and I was using Kodak Tri-X black and white film. When I shot this photo, it was slow shutter speed, panned along the image because I wanted to blur the background. There are many different ways to colorize a photo, and this tutorial is more of an overlay using a gradient. In other tutorials coming up, I'll touch on how to bring realistic color to black and white photos. Nowadays, with digital technology the way it is, I don't know if there's really one way you can do anything. There's so many different tools available. But the tool that we're going to be using today is Photoshop. I also recommend a pen tablet. When you try to do detailed adjustments of a photo with a mouse, it just gets crazy. Using the right tool is really important. Otherwise, it's like trying to fix a watch with a hammer. It's just not going to work. In the same way, doing detailed adjustments with a mouse, you're going to be fighting yourself. The pen tablet, they're pretty inexpensive, and you can really do a lot of good work in Photoshop. So with all that, let's just get started. After you get your image opened up in Photoshop, the very first thing you have to do is make a working copy. You don't want to be making adjustments to your original, because if you want to make changes, then what do you have? This is a good practice anytime you do anything with Photoshop. So once you have the image in there, go up to the Photoshop menu, select Layer, then Duplicate Layer, and that'll make a copy. Or you can click on the original in the Layers menu, and for a Mac, Command J, or for a PC, Control J, and that will make a duplicate layer. The next thing you want to do, since you're working with a black and white image, is change the color mode. If you were to go up to Image Mode, then you'll see, if you have a black and white image, it'll say grayscale. What you want to do is change that to RGB color, because if you don't do that, everything you do from here forward won't work. As a grayscale image, there's no way within Photoshop to add color to it, so you need to change that color mode so that it will accept color. Now the next part of this is we're going to add color to the overall image. Be sure to work on the layer copy. If you look over on the right, you'll see the two layers in there. Make sure that you clicked on the one that says Layer 0 Copy or something copy. That way you know that you're not working on the original. Now, following the image that you see in front of you, select the gradient tool over in the left-hand toolbar. And for this example, I'm using the transparent rainbow. The reason being, I just want different lines of color from top to bottom. And what you'll see is the sixth pattern from the second row is the transparent rainbow. But realistically, you can use any one of those, whatever works for you. The next thing we're going to do is to place the gradient. After you select the gradient tool, place your cursor near the top of the image and vertically drag down from the top to the bottom. This will lay the gradient on top of the image. So the next thing we're going to do is change the blending mode. So at the top where it says layers, you'll see the word kind. Then right below that is blending mode. It should say normal. Click on the word normal, there's a drop down, and then scroll down to color. Now I suppose I could have stopped right here because we've colorized the photo, but when you look at it, do you really want the runner to have green arms and purple and pink legs? Probably not. So this is where the next step comes in. We're going to now do the layer mask. At the bottom of the layer menu, there's a black square, a little black box with a white hole in it. On my screen, it's the third icon from the left at the very bottom. Yours might be different. So just look for the black square with the little white hole in it and click on that. That's for the layer mask. Now look back up in the layer menu, and you'll see two little images in there in your copy layer. One is going to be the colorized photo, and next to that now is a white box. When you click inside the white box, that selects the working layer mask, not the gradient image. On the left-hand side of your screen is the tool menu. Select the brush tool, or on the keyboard you can select B for brush. At the bottom left are two colored boxes. The top should be black, the bottom should be white. This is the default setup. To ensure that you have the default setup, you can type the letter D for default, and that makes sure that it's black and white. Our next step is to begin painting the color away from areas that we don't want in the image. Remember, she has green arms and purple and pink legs. We want to take care of that. When working with the image, you're going to want to zoom in so you can see the detail. On Photoshop, if you're using a Mac, Command plus will zoom in, Command minus will zoom out. And on a PC, it would be Control plus and Control minus. When you're painting color away, you may want to adjust your brush size. The left-hand bracket will make the brush smaller, and the right-hand bracket will make it larger. Now, going back to the default colors of black and white that we had looked at a moment ago, black will take color away, and white will add the color back if you go too far. In this case, we want to take the green arms away and the purple and pink legs, take that color off. So you would select the black. The next thing we're going to talk about here is the opacity factor. For this image, the opacity is the amount of gradient that you are removing. You could paint with 100% opacity, but I found that sometimes it takes too much away. It's best to use a little at a time and see how it looks. For this image, I'll start with 40% opacity, meaning that you're leaving 60% behind. In Photoshop, to adjust opacity, you can simply type the number 4 for 40%, 5 for 50%, 2 for 20%, or you can adjust the opacity itself directly at the menu at the top of the screen. If you type 0, that takes you to 100%. Another thing about opacity is that with each painting pass, it's multiplied by the percentage of opacity that you have selected. In this case, I'm painting with 40% opacity. If I do 2 passes, then it equals 80%. If I did 3, it's not going to equal 120 because you can only go to 100%. This is a simple process that you can use to colorize black and white photos. Take a look at your photo collection and see what you have to work with. There are lots of creative choices that you can make. The original photo doesn't even have to be black and white. It could be a sepia tone, or it could be some other color. Instead of using a gradient, you might decide to overlay another photo on top of it. For an example like that, you might pursue a composite image, and that's something we'll be covering in a later tutorial. So as a summary for what we've done today, we've made a layer copy to protect your original image. We changed your color mode. We added color. We worked with gradients and color blending. We applied a layer mask and painted away the color. We also talked about resizing the image view, your brush size, and opacity levels. These are just a few things that you'll be using over and over again in Photoshop. There are a lot of resources available to help you gain new experience with Photoshop. The key is to just do it. The best experience comes with finding your way around the tool and creating new, incredible images. Be sure to look at the notes below this video. I'll have links in there for different resources. Visit my website as I'm constantly updating with new articles and resources on photography. I plan to do more tutorials. And if you like this video, give it a like. Subscribe. Leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see more videos on in the future.